Today we are multiplying a two-digit number by a two-digit number, a really big fourth grade skill. And we're going to do that using the standard algorithm, which you know means the old-fashioned way your parents and I were taught. Let's get started. And that's the question we're answering. What is the standard algorithm for multiplying a two-digit number times a two-digit number? Well, let's start by looking at a problem. Here's 43 taken 13 times. But what does that actually mean? Well, what it really means is that I'm doing two separate problems. I'm doing 43 taken 3 times, but I'm also doing 43 taken 10 times. Why? Well, because 13 is 10 and 3. So in order to do it, I've got to address both those parts. So the first part of this is easy. You already know what to do with this. Here we have 3 units times 3 units and 3 units times 4 tens. There's my 3 units times my 3 units, and then we'll add 3 times 40, which is 12 tens. And there's the first problem. What did I just really do? Well, what I just really did was 3 times 3 plus 3 times 40. So now let's take care of the second part here. Let's take a look at 43 times 10, and you remember from last week that in order to multiply a number times 10, all you've got to do is add a 0 to the back of that, and we'll do that real quick. But then let's take a look at what we really just did. What I really just did was 10 times 3 and 10 times 40. So I actually have completed 4 different operations. To get the final answer, I would need to add 129 to 430, and I would get 559 as a total answer. But that's a little drawn out and complicated. So what we did was we developed a standard algorithm that kind of goes 2 for 1. It's a method of packing it all into one little space. So step 1 here is, well, what our step 1 was on the back page. We're going to do 43 times 3. 3 units times 3 units is 9 units, and 3 units times 4 tens is 12 tens. That should look familiar. But our next problem is 43 times 10. So if I'm multiplying by tens, I've got to put a 0 here to keep that place. This is not multiplying by 1. This is not 43 times 1. This is 43 times 10. So 10 times 3 units is 3 tens, and then 1 10 times 4 tens gives me 40 tens. Okay? And then, just like I needed to do on the other problem, I'm going to go ahead and add up what we've got here. 9 units and no units is 9 units. 2 tens and 3 tens is 5 tens. 100 and 400 is 500. All right, stop the video and copy this into your notebook. So let's look at 3 more example problems. 1, I'll talk you through. The other 2, I'm going to keep my mouth shut and just do the work so you can watch. All right, here we go. Let's take a look at 28 taken 32 times. This, you know, is already 2 separate problems. It's 28 times 2 and 28 times 30. Well, the first step is to do 28 times 2, and you've got a lot of experience with that. 2 units times 8 units is 16. There are 6 units and 1 10. 2 times 20 is 40, plus 1 is 50. Now, I've already got a 1 carried up there. It might get in the way later, so I'm going to grab my eraser, get rid of it so I've got space. All right, next step is 28 times 30. Again, it's 30, not 3. So when I multiply by tens, I put a 0 on the back, correct? Because there are no units involved. We're just dealing with tens. 8 times 30, or 8 times 3 tens, is 240. It's 24 tens. So let's put our 4 here. That represents the 4 tens, but that also gives us 200. So we're going to bring these up and wait for the next digit. The next part of this then is 30 times 20. 30 times 20 is 600, and then there are 200s here waiting. So that's where we need to be, and that will give us 800s. Last step, add it all up. 6 and nothing is 6. 5 plus 4 is 9. 8 plus nothing is 8. And then let's check. Okay, 28 times 32. And there we are, it's correct. So now I'm ready to do the next two problems. We'll do one in check and then one in check. Here we go. So now, here are two for you to try in your notebook. Let's take it one step at a time. The first step of 31 times 12 is to do 31 times 2. Take care of that real quick. Okay, and that's what your notebook should look like right now. And I'll give you just a second to do the next really important step. There it is. You need to put your 0 in, so let's do that. Okay, now your next step is to do 31 times 10. You'll want to stop the video while you do the next step. And so now your notebook should look like this. So, you know what the next step is, right? It's to add these together. So go ahead and stop the video and take care of that part. And then if you've done it correctly, there's your final answer. Let's try the second one. The first step of 25 times 14 is 25 times 4. Go ahead, stop the video, do that part in your notebook. So now here's what your notebook looks like. 4 times 5 is 20, carry a 2. 4 times 20 is 80, plus 2 more 10s gave me 100. Instead of erasing, which is more difficult in a notebook than it is on a computer screen, you could also just kind of cross that out and just say, I don't need that anymore. Now, do the next important step. I'll give you just a second. That's right, you should add a 0 because the next step is 25 times 10. And now you're ready to do 25 times 10. Go ahead, stop the video and take care of it. And now your notebook looks like this. So we're ready then for the very last step. Stop the video one more time. And there we go. We've got a final answer of 350. So what have we worked on today? Well, we've worked on the standard algorithm for multiplying a two-digit number times a two-digit number. If it's still confusing you, that's okay. This is a big skill, and we'll be working on it all week. So have a good afternoon.